Sunlight glided across the crystal chandeliers in the vast living room of the mansion. Yet despite the beauty, a cold silence lingered in the air. Suddenly, the door swung open, and the sharp click of high heels sliced through the stillness. Anna, wealthy, poised, and commanding, stepped inside, a cup of coffee in her hand, her eyes gleaming with icy determination. "Mother," she said calmly, with a faint trace of mockery, "it's time for you to pack your things. Today is your last day here." Maria Petrovna, an elderly woman in a neat sweater with carefully styled gray hair, froze by the doorway. Her heart tightened as she realized these were not empty words. She, who had devoted her entire life to this family, suddenly felt like a stranger in her own home. "Anna," she whispered softly, as if afraid to disturb the silence. How can you do this?" Anna stepped closer, her cold gaze piercing straight through the old woman. "I can, Mother. You've interfered far too much. This is my house, my husband, and my child." At that moment, little Sophia, their 5-year-old daughter, quietly pressed herself against her mother's legs. Her wide eyes were filled with fear. She couldn't understand why her grandmother, the person she loved most, had to leave. Maria Petrovna felt her hands tremble, but deep inside, a final spark of resistance flared to life. "Anna," she whispered, barely audible, "you think everything belongs to you, but you're mistaken." Anna smirked, dismissing the words, and nodded to the butler. "Pack whatever is left of Maria Petrovna's things. She's leaving today." Maria Petrovna sighed quietly, but inside she knew this chapter was far from over. In her memory surfaced old documents Anna had never seen, and the thought of them made her heart beat faster. The camera slowly pulls back, revealing the vast hall of the mansion, every corner heavy with tension, while little Sophia clutches her grandmother's hand, unaware that tomorrow everything could change. A moment of silence before the storm. The next day, the mansion was filled with a strange, strained silence. Anna moved from room to room, inspecting every detail, cushions aligned perfectly, curtains drawn with precision. Sophia sat quietly on the couch, clutching her favorite toy, as if trying to find comfort in something familiar. Maria Petrovna sat silently in the kitchen, observing everything. In her eyes flickered a cold determination. She knew Anna was playing the role of mistress of the house, but this was far from over. "Anna," she said, stepping closer, making an effort to sound calm, "you are in such a hurry, but not everything in life is measured by money and power." Anna let out a short scoff, adjusting her robe. Maria Petrovna quietly approached the window, gazing out at the garden. Suddenly, she felt a surge of strength rise within her. From an old briefcase, she carefully pulled out several documents, certificates of ownership, notarized signatures, official seals, contracts Anna had never seen before. A soft chuckle escaped her lips. "You thought the house was yours?" But in reality, at that moment, Anna entered the room, a cup of coffee in her hand. Her eyes immediately caught the folder on the table. "Mother, what is this?" she asked coldly, a flicker of unease crossing her face. "You have no right." "No right?" Maria Petrovna smiled as she calmly spread the papers across the desk. "Look more carefully. This house is legally mine. The documents have been in my name for years. I was simply waiting for the right moment to remind you." Anna froze. The color drained from her face. Something inside her snapped, as if the ground had suddenly shifted beneath her feet. "That's impossible," she breathed, struggling to regain control. I did everything for Sophia." "Yes, for Sophia," Maria Petrovna repeated softly, locking eyes with her daughter-in-law. "But she is not a weapon, Anna, and I will never allow her life to be built on lies and fear." Anna felt her power crumbling. All her plans, her manipulations, her threats, suddenly they meant nothing. She tried to gather her thoughts, but her heart was pounding too fast. Sophia stepped closer to her grandmother and took her hand. "Grandma, I knew it," she whispered. "I knew you would protect us." In that moment, Anna realized she had trapped herself in her own ambition. Outwardly, she tried to maintain her authority, but inside, panic was rising like a tide. You just don't understand," she cried out, but the words hung helplessly in the air. Maria Petrovna smiled faintly, though a glacial spark flashed in her eyes. She knew this was only the beginning. Tomorrow, the real game would begin. "You," Anna tried to interrupt, but the words caught in her throat. "You have no right." "And yet I do," the old woman said coldly, carefully placing the papers on the table. "The house legally belongs to me, which means the decisions are mine." Anna felt as though the walls were closing in around her. Her heart pounded. Her hands trembled. She struggled to maintain her composure, but every steady glance from Maria Petrovna made her feel smaller, powerless. "You think I'm afraid of you?" Anna hissed, barely holding back tears and rage. "I am this child's mother. I will decide where she lives." Maria Petrovna rose slowly, with dignity. Her eyes shone with unwavering strength. "Sophia is not a weapon, Anna. She is our child. And as long as I am alive, she will know the truth, not fear." Sophia, standing nearby, clung tightly to her grandmother. In that moment, Anna realized her entire plan had collapsed. Her attempts to manipulate, intimidate, and dominate had turned against her. She could barely form the words. "You've done the impossible." Maria Petrovna stepped closer, and a quiet threat echoed in her voice. "Do you remember what I whispered on the first day? That house was never yours. Tomorrow, everything will be made absolutely clear." Anna stood speechless, realizing that control had slipped through her fingers. The home she had believed to be her fortress had become a trap, and the old woman its true master. And when Sophia quietly fell asleep in the armchair beside her grandmother, the entire mansion sank into a heavy, anxious silence. The coming storm lingered in the air, and every sound, a footstep, a rustle, the creak of a door, felt like a warning of the final battle ahead. Morning arrived cold and clear. Sunlight filtered through the heavy curtains, glimmering across the polished floors of the mansion. Anna lay awake in her bedroom. Though she had barely slept, the night had been filled with restless dreams of fear and helplessness. Inside her, everything collapsed. Pride, ambition, fear, blending into a single crushing sense of defeat. For the first time in her life, she understood that power built on fear is only an illusion. Maria Petrovna sat beside Sophia and gently stroked the girl's hair. "This house, Anna, is a place where your daughter will know love and honesty, and as long as I am here, she will be protected." Sophia smiled softly at her grandmother, squeezing her hand. Anna lowered her gaze, realizing the battle was lost. Deep in her heart, resentment still flickered, anger without strength, pride without control. Maria Petrovna rose slowly, her eyes sweeping across the house. Every corridor, every room was now under her authority. Yet there was no revenge in her heart, only a quiet sense of justice. "Today, it is over," she said softly. "And may the silence that follows be the beginning of a new path for all of us." The mansion settled into a gentle, peaceful stillness. Sophia played nearby. Anna stood apart. And Maria Petrovna knew that truth had prevailed. But deep within, the old woman allowed herself a faint, mysterious smile. She understood something no one else did. Family secrets never disappear entirely. And behind even the calmest silence, a new challenge may always be waiting. The end.